It's time for justice. Kcpd, FOP. The Kansas City Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge No. 99 was established in 1993. Prior to 1993 it was known as the Kansas City Police Officers Association, which dates back as far as 1874. The members of the Kcpd share the unique distinction of being the only police officers in the United States designated officers of the state, and administered by a board of police commissioners who are appointed in staggered terms, by the sitting Missouri's governor. It's time for justice. According to Article 12, Section 1, of the Memorandum of Agreement between the Board of Police Commissioners and the Fraternal Order of Police entitled, Disciplinary Investigations, it states, in the event a bargaining unit employee, hereon referred to as a law enforcement personnel, is required to participate in an investigatory interview and the law enforcement personnel reasonably believes that the interview could lead to discipline, the law enforcement personnel will be provided a reasonable amount of time to secure representation to not exceed 24 hours. This essentially says that before a superior or investigator can even ask an officer questions about an incident that happened, they have to tell the officer what they want to ask them questions about, and the officer then has 24 hours to gather their thoughts and go get an attorney or union representative who can advise them on what to say, or not say, about the incident. This greatly impedes an honest and transparent investigatory process, especially since it precludes even basic questions about what happened at the scene of an incident. Article 12, Section 1A states, in the event a law enforcement personnel is required to provide the department with a written response as part of a disciplinary investigation, the law enforcement personnel will be given 2 working days, immediately following the request, to complete and deliver the written response. Prior to any investigatory interview or request for a written response, the law enforcement personnel may request access to videos and police reports regarding the incidents that is subject to the investigation. Essentially, this states that if an officer is being investigated for potential wrongdoing, they have to be given 48 hours before any questions can be asked of them, and then they have to be able to review any evidence, potentially against them, including video and police reports that have witness testimonies and evidence collected at the scene. For context on how reprehensible this is, we will take it out of context. If this contract governed employees of a convenience store where there was found to be missing cash in the register and safe, their boss would have to tell them exactly what happened, show them the video surveillance, show them any statements from their fellow employees or witnesses who potentially saw them do it, and then give them 24 hours to get attorneys to advise them and 48 hours for them to get together and figure out what story they want to tell given all of the evidence against them. That would also give them time to find those witnesses and coerce them into changing their story. There is no fair and honest investigation that allows a potential defendant, facing a disciplinary investigation, to see evidence against them, and then allow them 48 hours to confer with their representation. This creates a system in which those who are subject to a disciplinary investigation basically being guaranteed that nothing punitive ever happens. If an officer is being investigated for wrongdoing, their innocence or not, should be determined by a thorough investigation, and given the high bar required to prove intentional malice in actions, there should be no need for this overly protective provision, that the average citizen is not even afforded. All this provision does is protect those that should be disciplined from being disciplined. This almost single-handedly erodes public trust in the fairness and integrity of the police department as an institution. When there is no trust, there won't be cooperation on any investigation or during any active policing action. With a lack of de-escalation training, and PD deciding on a warrior mentality of policing, instead of a community-centric guardian form of policing, what remains is a devolution of trust in the PD. And thus the skyrocketing crime rates we are experiencing. We all understand that law enforcement is needed, but there is no trust in the system, so the ability to fight crime is heavily thwarted. The current contract between the Fraternal Order of Police and the Board of Police Commissioners, and every single contract prior to it, has done nothing more than protect bad officers. It literally condones misconduct and wrongdoing. The current contract is due to expire in a few months, so we have an opportunity to make certain that the new one holds our law enforcement officers accountable, not just simply give them a pass. The current contract as it is written today is a threat to the citizenry of this great city, and at minimum several provisions must be amended, or the entire contract terminated. The citizenry of this great city deserve more from those sworn to protect and serve, and it is accountability that we demand. Will you help us demand community representation at the table during negotiations of the new contract with the Kansas City Fraternal Order of Police? If you are, reach out to our mayor, our city council and the Board of Police Commissioners. They need to know that the current contract as it stands is a threat to the safety of every citizen of this great city. Thank you. It's time for justice. KCPD, FOP.